AskReddit by visual splendor. In 100 years, what things will seem barbaric that are normal to us today? I wonder if somebody 100 years ago would have answered lobotomy. The guy who discovered it was awarded with a Nobel Prize. They interviewed his son and he was like, yeah dad, just use the odyssey pick out of the junk drawer. Medical procedures. In 100 years the way they are treating things today will be like us looking back to when bleeding someone was a valid treatment option. Bleeding is still an in-use treatment for some things, as I found out after being diagnosed with high hemoglobin. Planned obsolescence, products designed to not last, and the amount of waste this produces, all in the name of increasing sales. And no real efforts to tackle it. Most comments on this post seem to be very optimistic about the future society. Yeah, the pessimist in me wants to answer, allowing just anyone to comment freely on the internet, allowing insert minority group here to vote, going outside in nature, etc. Sitting in a cubicle 8+ hours a day. Back to the office so middle management can have a power trip. Or they hate their family, have mistress. Most gynecological procedures. Was talking with a patient who hadn't had a uterus ultrasound in 20 years. I was going through the consent form, and she told me when I had a baby they didn't ask for permission, they just shoved it in. I'm getting an IUD in. I'm having it under general anesthesia because fuck doing that shit conscious. I have to sit on a waiting list for a year, but so worth it. Women having to undergo woman part biopsies with zero numbing or anesthetic. Putting IUDs in without numbing or anesthetic. Completely barbaric. Single-use plastics. I think lots of people already see this as barbaric nowadays. We just haven't made a big change yet. Radiation treatment for cancer. Just nuking a body to hell in hopes of killing the cancerous cells is pretty brutal. But it works. Without a doubt, factory farming. Don't know how this is so low. If, and it's an if, we're around long enough and play our cards right to get to that point on the philosophical moral development tree, it will certainly be by far the best answer to this question. Depending on how fast it happens, it could be an incredible rift between generations. But I also think it's entirely possible that we never get there. Absent some existential threat taking us out, likely eventually, and possible soon, I think humanity would eventually manage to overcome the blight of in-species oppression, even if it takes us far, far too long, and it could be a while. We will fail for a while, go backwards at times. It might not be in this iteration of civilization. But the technological and communication gaps between humans and non-human species are so large that I think humans could conceivably maintain our control over and infliction of suffering on other species indefinitely. Doesn't mean we will, just that if we choose to do something else, I think it will take an unprecedented process to realize it. Keeping parrots and other intelligent emotional animals in cages. Shunning those who are in need. At least we can hope. I talk to everybody. It makes my family nervous, but I won't stop. Sometimes I can help them, sometimes they help me. Community is wonderful. My favorite elderly auntie has been conspiring to help though. When winter started taking my skin apart, she made up a jar of homemade bagbum plus extra in plastic tubes so I can give it to folks in need. Liposuction. We seem to be on the cusp of meaningful advances, for example, Wegovy, Ozempic, in treating obesity as a disease, and 100 years seems to be a long enough runway for medication to be the primary way to prevent and treat obesity for the general population. By contrast, shoving a metal tube violently into an unconscious patient and vacuuming out liters of fat will seem almost medieval and pointless. Yeah, but there'll still be lipo for spot fat reduction. And BBLs. Forcing terminal people who are only going to experience agony until death to live until they die naturally 100%. This is going to be deemed barbaric and it will change. It's almost entirely due to religion. People who have been fortunate enough to not be around this won't understand usually until they are around it. Most people just simply ignore death and do not care until it is too late. It's like the least adult thing we do. I think euthanasia is definitely a rising topic of conversation. On how we treated animals and anything else which is sentient. This is the one. From factory farming to zoos to breeding animals with congenital deformities to aquariums, we will be judged very harshly, and rightly so. Definitely drilling out and filling tooth cavities. Future us will figure out a way to regrow tooth enamel and then charge even more for that service. Filled cavities will love on because it's cheap, relatively, and easy, but it will transition more towards being a sign of a person's poverty. They are actually already onto this one. I forget the exact article from a medical news site, but it was something to the effect of in the future, there will be no need for root canals. A global entertainment industry that thrives off of agitation and creating discord. Hopefully, forced marriage. Separating moms from their newborns to force them back to work just weeks after giving birth. Maternity leave should be a basic human right. Parental leave, not just maternity leave. I couldn't barely get out of bed for days after having my child due to injury during labor. My spouse had to take on a lot of cooking, cleaning, etc. Hopefully bad cops getting paid leave. Qualified immunity needs to go. The sooner the better. Factory farming. Forcing a child into marriage or to give birth. Deleted. American work culture. The juxtaposition between the ultra wealthy and the victims of artificial scarcity. IDK about this one, dude. This has been going on for thousands of years. The rich always oppress the poor. The Egyptian civilization, the medieval ages, I can't see this happening at all. Cutting people open to conduct surgeries. This is an interesting answer, I like it.